Hello again, this is Kevin Bernatz of Doc Beer Nuts Development, and we are continuing our playthrough of Hubris, and we're in the middle of the action phase. Last video was a little bit longer than I wanted, but I was spending a lot of time sort of going through some of the logic behind different actions. So for this, and if there's going to be subsequent video, I don't know how long this action phase will continue, I'm going to speed things up a little bit and not necessarily go into as much of the why I'm doing the different things, and just, tell the action and resolve the action and so on and so forth. So without further ado, we will start with the next event card. Current event, enemies at the gates. We start with a D6. No troop present in Thebes. Ravage, unalign, one alignment marker in Thebes. This is Thebes. There's currently no troop. So ravage and unalign. Well, there's only one to be unaligned. And then we mark it with a ravaged. Ptolemies no longer have control over Thebes. I'm just going to put this off to the side. It is 3 victory points that they lose. Then we do Ferryman of the Souls. Turn 1, there's going to be no leaders that have turn 1 listed as their end turn, so we're just going to roll 2d6 for every leader. Macedon has 3. Phillips dodged a bullet there. He fell off a horse, but it wasn't as bad as they thought. We do roll for Aratos, even though he's in his own neutral court. Ptolemies have 3. Ooh, another king that almost died. There's a double 1 instead of double 6s. Losing Sosabios would have been really bad for the Ptolemies. And he also is close, but no death. And Seleucids with the Ptolemaic leader have 4 that they have to roll for. Not a doubles. So no leaders die. And now we do Seleucid activation, followed by Ptolemy, Macedon, and Rome. We're going to try to clean up Quelsyria, so they will activate the king. He's going to keep the troops on his card, so that's 3, 6, 9, minus 3 for the king, so 6 talents. They do not want to appoint the king. So they're just going to let the fighting go. So Royal Army does 1 hit. Military Colonist does 1 hit. 2 mercenaries do no hits. So these are both dispersed. Seleucid King Atticus gets a renown. And 4 campaign options. He will use them all for sieges, and Ptolemies will use their sea support. Pirate squadrons too far away can't intercept, so they're going to need 2 successes to capture either one of these cities. 4 siege rolls, needing 3 plus 1 for the siege train, so 4s. I don't believe any of these have. Oh no, this has a TH. So that will need 3s. And he rode very poorly. He does have 2 successes if we count the 4s, so he is able to take control of this one. He cannot take control of this one because the 4 with this THM -1 would not count as a success, so he'd only have 1 success against Tyros. So this comes off, and a Seleucid garrison goes on. Note that they still don't have full control. So all things considered, the Ptolemies are happy. They basically did an action and did not get full control of this area. Okay, Ptolemies. Ptolemies are, again, down to a single leader that can do a campaign. They know this king is spent. As much as they would love to sort of campaign against them, they're going to retake Thebes. So they will activate the king. Now he goes immediately spent because that's his special ability. There's no troops to fight, so he's just going to take the royal army. It costs 5 to campaign here, so that's origin is Delta. Target is Thebes. 5 supply minus 3 for the king. So it's going to cost Ptolemies 2. And there's no reason for them. They can't plunder because it's already marked ravaged. So they might as well just do 4 siege rolls. Now he could have taken the siege train and pay another 5, but he thinks out of 4 rolls he should be able to get at least 1, 2. Now watch, I just jinxed him. I did, of course. So he did a big nuttin'. Sometimes that's the way it is in Hubris. Macedon. There's no troops to fight here. It's just the one city. Instead of activating Phillips for his last activation before winter quarters, they're going to do an envoy action. So he can undertake it in Peloponnesus. It's a 2 diplomacy. So they don't have a lot of money, so they're just going to pay the 1 talent. He gets 2 rolls, needing a 1 or a 2. Well, double 6s. It wouldn't matter either. They paid the +1. So he also did a big fat nothing. And then Rome. I'll draw the Roman activation card, but as we've shown, since there's no Seleucid areas within their scope of action, this is really just going to be nothing. But note that it's still 2 legions, 2 squadrons, so nothing changes on the map, and that's the activation. So this was a fairly quick card. Note that 3 current events have been drawn, and yes, I have shuffled these, so I'm not shuffling each time. Social war. So when it's got the mixed colors, it means it's part pending and part immediate event. The top part will be immediate, and then there'll be a trigger condition that if it's triggered, you trigger the bottom part. So in this case, you unalign Aetolia. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 places. So I'm going to bring this down here, and let me put it here for now. So we unalign Aetolia. It's already unaligned. Archania, so that's over here. So Macedon loses this garrison. Or, sorry, it was an alliance. But they lose control of Aetolia. So let me just put this card down here. We'll adjust victory point. Let's do victory points. So it's 1 victory point that is lost. So if I remember, these are both. No, there's total is lost. Territorial is lost. Convoy, which I believe is here. Yep. So that comes off. So this is a bad card for Macedon. Macedon has a lot of things that are happening at this time of the, that causes them to sort of finger in the hole, plug the leaking dike kind of thing. They have lots of troubles going on. So this is now simple control. So instead of 4 VPs, they go down to 3. So they lose another VP. Heraclea, it's already unaligned. Ellis is here. They did not have full control anyway, so that really doesn't change VPs. And then Sparta. So they just beat the Spartans, and now Sparta is like, nope. Now this does change control because you need majority, so that means 4 out of the 6. So they lose Peloponnesus, and that would be 2 more VPs are lost. So here they thought everything was going so well. Now you take the Aetolian minor unit and the Spartan minor unit. So this is one of the few times when a unit can come back from being dispersed. Normally, never happens. But for this one card, the Spartans will come back. And then Aetolians. Let's turn off snap. Okay, let's read. I'm going to put this. Where do we want to put these pending event cards? We're going to put them above the rebels here. So this means that this card is still in play. It's removed during winter quarters, or it can be triggered. And the triggering text is if at the end of any action phase, either of these minor units has not been dispersed. If at the end of the action phase, if either of these minor units has not been dispersed, you unalign all alliances in Aetolia, and the Spartans unalign all alliances in Peloponnese. So look at Peloponnese. That's 2 more alliances that Macedon would lose. Note that Philip's winter campaign is before the action phase ends. So the current plan for Macedon is, okay, we'll activate, the next activation will activate Philip. He'll kill the Spartans again. Then for his winter quarters, he'll go up here and take out the Aetolians. It's only saving 1 alliance, but, if they get a chance to beat up on the Aetolians, they're always happy. So that's the current plan. Now we draw another card. Another mixed event. So it's got the immediate and the pending. This is the Second Illyrian War. So you resolve the immediate, remove all Roman alliance markers in Illyria. So that would be here. Kingdoms may remove their garrison markers in Illyria. There are none, it's just Rome. Excuse me. Then automatic casus belli against Illyrian places. So Rome goes to war against Illyria. We'll use the Ptolemaic consul for the war against Illyria. Rome places alliance markers except a garrison in Apollonia. Well, they already have Apollonia as a garrison, so they don't have to worry about that. As soon as Rome gains control of Illyria, then we follow the back. Now note that that's going to open up the Roman agenda to Gracia, and that could potentially bring the Seleucid War more likely to have an effect. I don't think there's going to be any Seleucid alliances or alignment markers in Greece, but Rome is slowly creeping towards them. And this is removed when it's triggered, as soon as Rome gains control of Illyria. But note that Rome remains at war and this event remains pending until it controls Illyria or finishes a turn at limited war. I.e., if Hannibal starts causing trouble, Rome will go to limited war. We now have 2 pending events. Okay, our 4th recurrent event. So after this event, if Winter Quarters comes up, there's 6 cards left. The turn would end. So first we roll a d6. No troop present in Macedonia. Again, this is why we leave the troop there. So there is, so nothing's going to happen. Otherwise, again, it would have been unaligning something. Pella is only on a 4, 5, or 6, but still. Another bad event that could happen to Macedonia. Second Punic War card shows a test. There's been nothing, so there's no test. And activations. Macedon goes first. So like we said, they're going to activate Philip. This would be the 2 units. Supply cost of 3, so that's going to be 6 talents. Minus 3 for the king if he keeps both units. Note that at the start of the campaign, he does not control Peloponnese. So he can plunder Peloponnese to get 6 money, 3 per unit. So yeah, he's going to spend the 3 talents, taking him to 1, and do the campaign against the Spartans. So again, he's insulated himself against the potential of a 1. So the Royal Army does actually 2 hits. The other guy doesn't really matter. He misses. And Ptolemy's will roll for the Spartans. Miss. So once again, the Spartans are dispersed. Once again, Philip gains renown. So he goes from 2 renown to 3. The most a leader can have is 4. Then he gets 4 campaign options. He will do 2 subjugations. Does he care? He is actually going to do 3 siege rolls. He's not going to go after Sparta. 3 siege rolls and 1 plunder. So the plunder places a ravaged. And gets him 6 talents. Note that with the winter campaign, you still have to pay money. And for Aetoli Epirios, it costs 5. So that he can't just send 1 unit and expect it to be free. And if he sends both units, it's going to be 10 minus the 3 for being the king is still 7. Well, now he has exactly 7 talents. He will have to decide if he does if they draw more actions. He may or may not do other things like diplomacy and stuff like that. We'll see. So now 3 siege rolls. He does not have the siege strain, so he's looking for 3s, and he really rolled well. So can't siege a tribe, so there's no effect on the tribe. But he succeeds on taking both of these. So he doesn't want to put a garrison, because if he puts a garrison, these 2 alliances disappear because it's a Greek place. So he is going to put 2 alliances with his siege. This gains him control of both Achaean heartland places, which means Aratos joins his court. His 4 diplomacy may be useful in bringing Sparta over to his side. And it also gives him simple control back of Peloponnese. So 2 additional victory points. That's the Macedon activation. Next is Seleucid. They don't have a lot of money, if I remember. They have 1 talent. So they're going to take a chance and try raising taxes in Babylonia. Because eventually they'd like to deal with this revolt, but they need money in order to do that. So Zeus, who just barely escaped the last raise of taxes, is going to again use his admin rating of 4. He's only going to designate Babylonia. He could try to designate multiple areas. Well, this has a troop. It is two talents. Sure, so 2 is better than nothing. He'll designate both these areas. He'll roll this one first. So that one, he has effectively a admin rating of 5. Another 1, so that's a success. So taxes increased marker. And they get 2 talents. And then here, only admin of 4 because there's no troop. Oh gosh. Zeus is not lucky with raising taxes. So again, we have to roll. On a 6, he dies. Oh, okay. Well, easy come, easy go. So we should have just done 1. I'll resolve who we're going to pick for the chief minister in a second. First, it's going to be one of these places gets in revolt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this place goes in revolt. And we need a ravaged marker. There's a revolt. There's a ravaged. So this is why I say it's a storytelling game, because here the Seleucids will just mind their own business. You know that they're using their military advantage to push forward, and you know their kingdom behind them is going all to hell in a handbasket. So the revolt goes here. The ravage goes there. They lose control of Babylonia. So where's Babylonia? So that is 3 victory points they lose and an important 7 talents for taxes. So they don't want to leave this revolt sitting here. They want to get Babylonia back. Okay, so that was the very eventful Seleucid activation. Now it's the Ptolemies who are sitting there laughing and saying, "Ah, see, you laughed at us when we failed to clear this revolt, or this retake this area. Serves you right." They can't do much, right? They have Sosabios, and that's it. So they could. They still have a troop in Delta, so you know what? They're going to raise taxes in Delta. So that would get them 18 talents. Now, they will get halved at the end of the turn for inflation, but still, 9 talents going in the next turn is better than nothing. So 4 admin, they have the troops, so it's effectively a 5, so not too much can go bad. 3 is success. Raise taxes, go here. Let me put it here and turn off. Snap. So they get 18 money added to their. So 15 and 18 is 33. And that's the Ptolemy activation. Now it's Rome. So now Rome has 2 consuls. They have the one against Syria and the one against Illyria. And you do run them in a specific order. The Illyrian one goes first. So, Illyrian consul goes out to Italia, and we draw a card for the Illyrian consul. They're still at full war. Oh boy. this is a big one. So there's a campaign, 2 legions, 2 squadrons. Squadrons are already out. Note that they only have 2 squadrons. So you're never going to get more than 2 Roman squadrons. So we get 2 Roman legions here. They come across into Illyria. There's no one there to fight. And there's no one across the water. So effectively, they get in here and they get to do 4 campaign options. There's 2 tribes to take, both with a -1 THM, and 1 city. Roman always have a siege number of 4. And in this particular, whoops, wrong card. In this particular case, he only has a 2 battle rating because it's the full war side. So he needs to roll a 1 to get the tribes. So he's going to do 1 siege and 3 subjugations. We'll just have Macedon roll. So the siege, needing a 4 or less. Nope. And 3 subjugations. 1. So they did succeed on 1 of the subjugations. They'll take the 1 up here. That's a Roman alliance. Note that because they failed the siege, they have not gained control of Illyria yet. Now we do the Seleucid one. Again, it's not really going to be much effect. Full war. They still keep their 2 legions, and there's not a campaign but a diplomacy. However, there's no allies sought. It's the middle of the card, so the diplomacy does nothing. So that's the end of the Roman activation. So now these 4, I'll just stack them up. And we know that if winter quarters comes up, the turn will end. Hannibal's War. Bring the Second Punic War to the next step. Apply the text. And if there's a mercenary, it's one of, I think, these 3. The Cretans, the Arcadians, and the Aetolians. They would automatically get sent. So actually, if Macedon had not hired this mercenary, it would have been sent to the Punic War. But we go to, I think I could just put this in the box, right? Yeah. Punic War steps never go backwards. They only go forward. So step 2, Hannibal in Italy. Flip and maintain the current Roman agenda to its limited war side. So now we are limited war. Okay? Roman belligerents cannot be higher than medium, and there's a maximum of 1 squadron. So one of these squadrons comes off the map. And this card is resolved. Okay. Now the recurrent event. So this turn we're going to have 5 recurrent events at least. So we roll a d6. That is a 3. Using table, unalign 1 random alignment marker on a Greek place. Only a 4, 5, or 6 if it's garrison. So this comes the table. I believe it's on the back here. So we're going to do a first roll and a second roll. So first roll is that. Second roll is this. So 6, 5. So on the table, first roll is 6. 5 is Perinthos. Well, we just looked that up earlier. So that is here. So unalign 1 random alignment marker. 4, 5, or 6 if it's a garrison. So it is a garrison. So only on a roll of 4, 5, or 6 is it unaligned. 4. It's unlucky for the Ptolemies. This garrison comes off. Note that they didn't have control of Thrace anyways, but you know, it's always nice to have alignment markers versus having them removed. Storms and Worms. D6 for each squadron. If it's your last squadron, then you only on a second roll of 4, 5, or 6. Macedon has a single squadron. Nope. Rhodes has a squadron. The Pirate Squadron. And now the Ptolemies. They have 3 squadrons, 1, 2, and 3. I'll just roll in that order. 1, 2, 3. So no 6s were rolled, so no squadrons removed. Then we do activations. Ptolemies. This will be the last activation for the Ptolemy. They could pass. I don't see why they would. So we will do something with Sosibios. He's probably going to do a diplomacy. And he will do a diplomacy. Where will he do his diplomacy? Let's try diplomacy in Thrake. So he could trace across seas. He still has a friendly port here, so this is a friendly sea area. His diplomacy rating is 4. They're going to spend the extra 2 because part of it's going to go away when taxes end anyway. So it's going to be 3 talents. So we'll just go to 30. So he has a diplomacy rating of 5. He gets 2 rolls. I should have had him do something with Rome, but oh well. Now we rolled 2 4s. Note that the THMs do not apply to envoy actions. This is if it's a siege or the subjugation. And note that he cannot do a diplomacy against a subject city because it can't take an alliance. Right? Envoy is not allowed against subject tribes. So they do get two successes. So they're going to place 2 alliances. They will place 1 here and 1 here. This gives them simple control of Thrake, which is 1 VP. Note that when there's only 1 number, it's whether it's simple or full control. So their total VPs and territorial VPs both go up 1, and they need the Thrake. This here. And that's the Ptolemy activation. And unless they get a new leader, and there is a leader in the deck, but unless they get a new leader, they're pretty much done for the turn. Macedon. So Macedon does not have, again, it's going to take 7 money if they want to bring both troops into Aetolia. And note that this is rough terrain. You can tell by the coloring in the background. So, and you can also see on the Aetolian card, rough terrain, the satrapy card. This means these guys are going to strike first when Macedon comes across. So they really want to bring both units. So they're going to raise taxes in Macedonia. They have a troop present, but they don't have the greatest leaders. They're going to have to use Taron and his 3 admin. So with the troop, it's going to make it a 4. So it's a 4 admin rating. He's hoping he doesn't roll the 6. And I jinxed him. So it's a success of -2. We know what that does. We end up with a revolt and a ravaged marker. The revolt can snap because it'll end up somewhere. Let's turn off snapping for this. So it is ravaged. And now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to see which place does not like taxes. So the capital. So in theory there would be a temporary capital. I'm not going to bother with it for now, but you would place out a temporary capital marker I don't even know what. Yeah, temporary capital. Sure, we'll make this as the temporary capital. And I think they lose a VP. Again, I'm not going to worry about it because they will eventually get this back. So it's really not that big a deal at this point. It's so early in the game. And they go to simple control, so they lose 3 VPs. Easy come, easy go. And then we have to see if the chief minister dies. 2, he does not. Okay. Well, this has not been a good game for raising taxes. Now it's the Seleucids. They have revolts all over the place. They want to clear up this revolt in Babylonia. It's going to cost 3 talents if they send just a normal person. They can't send the king. They do have 2 lead. Oh, we need to do a chief. So he has a 2 admin. He has a 2 diplomacy. They're actually going to pick Theodotos as chief minister. He is a Seleucid leader. He also dies on turn 4 generally, so this would mean a new chief minister from, on turn 4. So they don't, and that's not a bad thing because they don't particularly think this is a great pick. But of the 2, they don't really have great options. Both these guys have siege ratings of 2. There's no force to fight, so it's just going to be sieges. So we're going to send Antipatros. He'll be Strategos 1. Take the Strategos 1 block. This can be the origin. Moves in. Well, in the origin, he's going to muster this unit. Only 1 left. Moves in, pays 3 talents. Brings him down to 0. He's going to do... So again, it's not controlled. Oh, but it's ravaged, so he can't do plunder. So he's going to do 4 siege rolls, needing 2s. Got a success. So the revolt comes off. He's going to replace it with a garrison. They regain control of Babylonia, so they get 3 VPs back. The ravage stays, but at least they've gained control of Babylonia again. And Rome. We will do the Illyrian one. Full war, so they have a campaign. This time they have a 4. Actually, they have 3 legions, so they get an extra legion. Not that it really matters. Again, they're not fighting anyone. And they have a 4 battle rating. So they will do 2 sieges and 2 subjugations. So first the sieges. They need 4s. At least 1 4. Success. Remember, for the card, they only place alliances. And now 2 subjugations. Excuse me, needing 3s. Well, they got a 2. So even with the -1, that is a success. Okay. So, we now look at the card. Second Illyrian War. As soon as Rome gains control, what they just did, set the Roman agenda de Gracie. So this comes off. Oops. Can go in the, just like Punic War, agendas never go backwards. We are at limited war, so it stays limited war. Note that the scope of action is now Illyria, Greece, and all adjoining seas. So Illyria, Greece, and all adjoining seas. Okay? So Thessalia. All this you can tell by the coloring of the banner. This is Greece. This is Europe, but it includes Illyria and all of Greece, and all of these seas are now in the Roman scope of action. They now have some allies they're seeking, and then there's a trigger condition for them to go to the next agenda. They're still at war because they have the war with the Seleucids, but this consul has done his job and gets to go home and have a big triumph. Now we do the consul against the Seleucids. So, they were at limited war. I don't remember what the card was. I'm not going to go back. We're going to just say that whatever happened, happened, that there was a campaign in the limited war. I might have screwed that up. It doesn't really matter. The cards are random. We'll just say that if I did screw it up, like in this one, there's no campaign. So this Seleucid, even if there were a Seleucid alignment marker somewhere in Greece, he would not campaign because there's no campaign flag for him to campaign. He also goes down to just one legion. So he just sits in Italia because he doesn't have any place to target. That's the Roman activation. Wow. So we still have not drawn winter quarters. Okay, this is the last recurrent event. So all 6 recurrent events came up. It is what it is. This is revolt. We roll 2d6 on this one. An 11. So a revolt in Susian. Replace a random alignment marker with revolt. Garrison strongholds last, and only on a d6, 5, or 6. So this is Susiana. It has a stronghold, th-1 stronghold. It is garrisoned. So we don't even have to roll. We know the revolt's going to be here because this is last, and it would only be done on a 5 or 6. So the revolt has to be here. This comes off. That revolt marker we just got rid of gets to come back. Okay. Now, in every other satrapy with the revolt, replace one random alignment marker with the revolt. So, this is not a revolt, this is just ravaged. This is a revolt. This was cleared up. So one of these alignment markers gets replaced with another revolt. So the revolt spreads. Note that it doesn't matter whose alignment. So 1, 2, 3, 4. On a 5 or 6, I roll again. 3. 1, 2, 3. So the Ptolemaic garrison comes off. And we get another revolt. If this was the last, so let's say next turn it comes up right away and this spreads to here, what you would do is take both revolts off and it would become completely unaligned. Note that this does not change control, or actually we do have to change control of Susiana. So they lost control of Susiana, which is 1 VP. Oops. This does not change control because it was the Ptolemaic place, not a Seleucid one. Then every rebel who can muster a land unit, this guy does, he is a military colonist, so this will go on Achios's, Achios's? I don't know how to pronounce him. Achios's card. His block comes out. This is the origin. He's going to target the satrapy that has the most VPs. Happens, I know it's Ionia. So he's going to go into Ionia. Again, the Ptolemies don't have a leader to defend with, so it's just going to be this unit. They can't even strengthen these cities. So what they will do is commit both their naval units for sea support. This can be intercepted. The Seleucids have the pirate squadron. They haven't used it, so they're going to intercept this committing of sea support. Like, I guess I'm getting ahead of myself. This assumes that he actually gets campaign options. So let's hold off. But if he wins the battle and does campaign options, then we'll have a naval battle. He should win the battle, but we'll see. Okay, Ptolemaic, they roll a single die. They have a 2 strength leader, effectively. They roll a 6 and miss. Achaeos is a 3. His special ability does not apply to Ionia, so it doesn't matter. So he's going to have a 3 battle rating. 6. Okay, well, no one died. It's an indecisive battle. He actually doesn't get campaign options. If he had gotten campaign options, these guys would have done the sea support. They would have been intercepted by the pirate. We would have had a naval battle, which probably would have seen the pirates sunk, because you have the elite and the regular to fight off. But if he got a hit, he could have killed the regular squadron, and these don't go dispersed. They just go straight back to your force pool, and it costs 8 talents to rebuild. So having him basically suicide into a Ptolemaic squadron would not have necessarily been a bad thing. Anyways, the rebel really didn't do anything. Intrigues at court. So we're looking at the adjusted intrigue rating of all the friends. I think because both, all the courts have been decimated, there's going to be no intrigue. So note that the Seleucid king has 2 renown. So you look at his intrigue, which is 3. You add half of his renown. So let's do, I'll just show you. So intrigues at court. When resolving, you add adjusted intrigue, which is add half a renown to the rating. So effectively he has a 4 intrigue. So these guys have to total more than 3 times 4. So 3 times 4 would be 12. So these guys would have to total 13 intrigue to have any intrigue going on in the court. Well, he has 3 and he has 1. So the Seleucid court's fine. Here, instead of using the king's 2 intrigue, we're going to use Sosabias' big value of 5. So now it's 15. So we basically need 16 between these two. Note that his intrigue still counts, because he's a friend, not the king. So it would be 5, and then with his special ability 4 is 9. Well, that's a lot less than the 16. And because this happened after Apelles and his clique got removed, and also now we have 3 renown, so that's going to add 2 to Philip's intrigue. So that's going to be a 5. So we need 16 intrigue. Taron is 2, he's 2, that's 4, and he's 3, 7. So there's no intrigue happening in any of these courts because they've pretty much all been decimated. Then we do activations. Ptolemies, they have to pass. They have no leader available. Seleucids, they have no money. They could raise taxes. That's the only thing that costs no money. And that's been going so well for them. So they're going to pass. They don't want to take another chance of raising taxes and getting more revolts. So then the last one is Macedon. They have money. But again, they want to go into here. Their raised taxes also failed miserably. they don't see any reason. Well, you know what? Maybe maybe he needs to campaign here and then only send a single unit. Yep, so this is what they're going to do. They are going to, there's no one to fight, there's no enemy force. So all they need to do is siege. Alexandros has a siege rating of 2, so they will send him with this unit. They're not going to take the siege train because then they won't have enough money to do anything with Philippos during the winter campaign. So this will still cost 3 talents, bringing them down to 4. And it's just going to be, let me get the Strategos 1. And Strategos 1. So siege rating of 2, 4 siege rolls to try to retake their capital. They need 2s. They have a success, so they retake the capital. This is why I said I wasn't going to mark the temporary capital and worry about the VPs, because, again, it's not that hard for them to retake their capital early in the game, really for any kingdom. So the temporary capital VP I wasn't really going to worry about. Now we do have to adjust the, I guess I didn't move the card. Oh, I guess because they still had simple control. But they do go back to full control, which gives them plus 3 VPs. 1, 2, 3. So that wasn't a bad activation for Macedon. Rome. There's only the one war going on. It is still limited war. We're really looking for diplomacies now for Rome, because note that they would go after allies. But limited war, there's no diplomacy icon. He doesn't even have a legion. And there's just the 1 squadron, but there already is just 1 squadron out here. That's the last activation of the turn. That's all 6. There's only 3 cards left. Okay. Hannibal's War. So we go to step 3. Hannibal at the gates. Hannibal captures Rome and wins the war for cartridge on a D6, 6+. Apply +1 for every troop sent as reinforcement through the event 18. Well, we haven't gotten that event yet. So, this is a big roll, because Rome being conquered by Hannibal greatly changes the game to Macedon's benefit. But it's only on a 1 and 6. 3. Nope. So, Hannibal has been held off and does not conquer Rome. Only 2 cards left. Winter Quarters. So the one card that wasn't drawn is the recruitment of Andromachos, which the Ptolemies would have loved because they had lots of money available to purchase him. But instead, this is going to stay for next turn. This ends the turn. It'll go back. These all go back. We would, at the start of next turn, we would take the turn 2 events. I'll just do it now just to show you what we're going to do. I'm not going to play any of next turn. Different turns will have different number of events added. Oops, I didn't mean to cut them, but so that deck is prepared for next turn. No kings died, so we don't have to worry about that. if we're going through the sequence of play, this is technically the winter quarters phase. So right before the end of the action phase, Macedon gets to use the winter campaign ability even if he's spent. So he's going to campaign into Aetolia. It's going to cost 5 per unit that comes with him. They only have 4 money. But remember, the king gets a discount of 3. So he's going to take and disperse this mercenary. But he will keep the royal army. So 5 minus 3 for being the king means it's going to cost 2. That takes him down to 2 money. Now we have a battle. Aetolians fight with a no leader, so they fight with a strength of 2, and because it's rough terrain, they roll first. So it's not simultaneous. 5, they miss. If they had rolled the 1, Philip would have been defeated. Now Philip strikes back with his 5 battle rating. Again, remember, he's a 4, but the elite unit royal army adds +1. That's a 5. He succeeds. He disperses the Aetolians. This also nets him another renown. He now has the most renown a leader can have. He then gets 4 campaign options. There's a tribe and a city. The tribe has a -2 THM, so he's going to do 3 subjugations and 1 siege. The subjugations are his 4 battle rating minus the 2, so he needs 2s. The siege, he needs a 3. I'll roll the siege first, so he needs a 3 or less. He fails, and then all the 3 subjugations needing 2s or less. Succeeded. So remember, tribes, you can't put garrison, so you have to put an alliance. In theory, this does allow him to recruit the Aetolians next turn because he has an alliance on their Heartland place. It also cancels the negative effects. Okay, second Illyrian War should have gone away. Put it here. And now this cancels the effects on this card because neither of these units are still on the map. They both have been dispersed. Then we go, let's see, did he get control of this? He got simple control. So he regained simple control, so that's 1 VP. And you can always double check. So let's just do a quick double check of Macedon. Full control, that's 7. Simple control is 3, so that's at 10. Simple control, because they have 2 of the 3, that's another 1, so that's 11. Simple control, 12, 13. Simple control, 14. So they should have 14 territorial VPs. That's correct. 4 renown from the king brings it to 18. They have no dynastic VPs, so they are correct. So it's always, you can always double check at the end of the turn just to make sure that the VPs are accurate. If you do it as they happen, which is the way it's supposed to be done, then generally it should be, they should check out with no problem. So going to winter quarters, resolve the pending events. There are none because Philippos defeated the Aetolians, or dispersed the Aetolians. All wars between kingdoms end unless one king tries to extend it, and then they resolve exhaustion. For simplicity, let's just say these two decide to let it end, so the war would lapse. Ptolemies, yes, they've lost this area, but they don't have a good court, right? They only have 1 leader that can campaign. So why would they want to keep the fighting going right now? They'd rather wait till, especially they know that Seleucids are at war with Rome. They'd rather wait until the Romans come across and Seleucids have their hands full and then they'll try to retake this. Again, they're playing the long game here. So they're happy to let it lapse. Seleucids know that Rome is coming, and they also have to deal with the rebel here. So they're happy to let it lapse. They also have a bunch of revolts. So they'll say, okay, fine, we'll let the war lapse. If they didn't want to let it lapse, you'd have to roll just to basically see, they're basically making a diplomacy check to try to keep the war going with some modifiers. It's in the pink area on the right-hand side. And note that Ptolemies have lots of money, so they could easily transfer, 10 talents to the Seleucids to sort of force the war to end. We know automatic victory. All units return home, including those in the dispersed box, unless anything here would not return home. I'm not going to bother, but all these guys would go back. Remember, mercenaries would be face down until they're hired. Same, the minor units. Sparta would be on the banner because there's no alliance here, but the Achaean League would be here, available to muster, and the Aetolians would be available to muster. They'd be in Aetolia. Actually, did we forget to put a... This is the mercenary. Oh no, there's no... Only the mercenaries have spots. The other units are just put face down. Roman consuls go back to Italia. They're already in Italia. Strengthened defenses, they actually didn't get used, but they would have gone, back to owner's supply. And then we have all money, so that goes to 1. 0 is still 0. 30 goes to 15. And then all leaders would get rotated back to be fresh. These units would also come off the leader, and you would replace, this can go anywhere. Again, it's generally good to start in Macedonia. There's no reason not to. And then we would start the next turn. So you could see it's pretty close. There's 18, 16, and 13. However, the Seleucids are down because they have these revolts that they're dealing with. So that's a VP here. When they clear these up, it's going to be another 3 VPs. That's 4. They clear this up. It's going to be up. Now they can't, because this would be an act of war. So they can't actually attack this. But they can clear this up for 3 more. Well, so it'll be 1 more VP here, 1 more VP here. That's 2. They're going to take this for 3 VPs, so that's 6. So you can see that they're already sitting 19. And they're going to fight a battle here and probably win, so he's going to get renown. So they're going to get up here pretty quickly along with everyone else. Ptolemies are in a little bit of trouble, but that's not unusual. But they can come back because they have such huge money. They can start doing the all-important Evergetism action to get dynastic VPs. These are basically like permanent VPs. They'll also try to take, get Thrace, but Macedon may come this way. So the Ptolemies, they're going to build up their money and wait for Rome to get involved, and then they'll try to retake Syria to get their VPs up. But that's turn 1. Hopefully it's giving you an understanding of how the game plays, and hopefully you can appreciate when I say it is definitely a storytelling game. You're along for the ride.